When Beetlejuice came out in 1988, it was something unique and different. Tim Burton was young at this time, and he made this film in his very own way. He knew there was nothing else like it, and this was only his second feature film. The world building in this movie has a fun take, especially on the underworld aspects, and I think it still holds up. And that style, that aesthetic, that was an era of Burton films where it just felt like that style was something you would not see anywhere else. Even today, it feels like it's been hard for him to even recapture that style. This sequel is the closest to his classic style because Burton gets to be an auteur director again in this movie. After Charles Deetz passes away, Delia, Lydia, and her daughter Astrid, who's played by Jenna Ortega, return to Winter River. Lydia is still haunted by Beetlejuice, and she has parenting issues with Astrid, who meets a mysterious boy in this town, and that leads to shenanigans. That summary should be enough for a good 90-minute film. But there is so much happening in this film that it feels very overstuffed. Because while there is a main plot that does take a while to set up, there are even more things happening around these characters. Gorman plays a priest in this film, and he has very little screen time. You can tell his character was more involved in the story and then got cut later on. You do not get an actor like him and barely show up in the movie. I will say though, he does have good comedic chops. I did get a chuckle out of him, maybe once or twice. Tim Burton's new girlfriend, Monica Belluci, is in this movie, and she has a great introduction, but then she's just kind of doing her own thing, which feels a little pointless. Willem Dafoe is involved with her subplot. For him, it doesn't lead to anything really exciting either. His character has a bit, though, that I did think was at least entertaining, but there's not enough for him to make the story captivating. I'm shocked we're now this far into Burton's catalog, and we finally got Dafoe in a Burton movie. It just feels like it should have already happened at some point. And it's the same thought for Justin Theroux, who has done comedic performances before. I can certainly tell he's trying to do something campy with this performance, but the script doesn't give him any moments to shine, and the dialogue for him is pretty weak. I'm not super interested in this character and his involvement with Lydia. Jenna Ortega gets to have some fun at times, but seems like most of the performance from her is at least her just reacting to what's happening around her. She does get to have fun later on towards the end. For the most part, her character is fine. The people who really get to shine are Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, and Michael Keaton. Maybe it's because they have already played these characters before and they know how to engage with other characters. Maybe that's it. Maybe the writers were just more interested in these characters. I'm not sure. O'Hara gets plenty of great comedic moments out of all these wacky characters trying to deliver some decent jokes. She is doing the most out of it. It's nice to see Winona Ryder as a lead in a film again. It's been years, I feel like, since this has happened. Now, I will say it does feel like a different performance compared to how she played Lydia in the original. This performance feels like a little bit more of how Winona is today. It seems like she gets to put a little bit more of her own personality in it. She's not so very deadpan, which isn't really a complaint at all. It was just something that I noticed. I do think it's funny, though, that Lydia still has the exact same haircut that she's had for like 30 years. That's just absurd and silly to me. But the main person everybody came back to see was Keaton. While the physicality and the zaniness that Keaton had in the original is lacking a little bit, it doesn't really bother me. Burton gets to find plenty of other great ways to make him stand out with how they edit the movie, how they shoot the movie, how they use lighting. There's tons of different ways that they get to make that they get to make him stand out a lot more. So yeah, that's not even everybody in the movie, but as you can see, it is a lot. I know a sequel has constantly been in the works. At least in this one, it just feels like this movie is a conglomerate of scrapped ideas for a sequel. And then once this movie finally got greenlit, the writers were like, well, these are all good concepts. Since we may not even get a third one, we might as well just have to use everything. At least to me, that's what it feels like. I am sure that's not actually actually what happened. Since it's just crowded with all of these plots, it just takes a while for the main plot to actually happen, which involves Astrid and this mysterious boy who's played by Arthur Conti. The plot, the dilemma that they are involved in, was the most interesting in this entire movie, and seeing how Lydia and the juice gets involved in that, it was a fun situation that I was not expecting. Once the plot does pick up, it doesn't really expand that much on world building, which is something that a lot of sequels would tend to do. The biggest addition that Burton gets to bring to the underworld is there's a soul train, and it's very 70s driven. There's some 70s funky music, but that's really it as far as expanding the world. Now, Burton does get to try and change some things up. We have a scene that feels like a James Whale or Todd Browning movie. At first, I was not really into. I was like, why are we doing this? But then the more I thought about it, I was like, this is fun. There's a plane scene that's done in stop motion. It looks a little off-putting, but I thought that was fun. There was some personality in that. There are shrink head characters that eventually the movie gets to do stuff with them that I thought would have been interesting for the movie, but the movie just kind of forgets about them. I think they were cut later on in the final act. So Burton is trying to do some new things. When it is doing that, it feels fun. There are other times though where the movie is sort of doing a, hey, remember this from the original? Remember that thing you liked 30 plus years ago? The movie isn't relying too much on this, and it certainly tries to twist these ideas a little bit, but in the end, the excitement, it just doesn't match what the first one had. When it's more focused on just pushing through the plot, I found myself a little bit bored. But when Burton is more focused on being in control and being weird with the production, being weird with the lighting, using practical effects, it just feels like a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of blockbusters coming out today, compared to even stuff that he has made. It just feels like we are going back to original stuff. The production, the practical effects in this film are stellar to look at. It makes the interactions feel real, the places feel real, and because of this, Burton gets to use really extreme and cool lighting, very vibrant, and it just adds depth to the sets, to the characters, great mood lighting. Characters will shrink, they become flat, you actually see it done, the stop motion. That's when it felt like Burton was in command, when he was in full control, and it's what makes this movie enjoyable for me. This is a very crowded movie. The script is all over the place. There are too many characters that I would have cut. It would have helped the story, it would have helped the pacing, it would have made the movie actually feel like 90 minutes. Even if some of these characters feel wasted or don't fit the tone Burton is going for, I have to admit they're at least trying, so there's that. It feels like they're actually having fun working on the film. Part of that is because these actors feel entranced in this world. Burton gets to use practicality, physical sets, just everything to make things feel extreme, and that just makes everything feel real. I think it's gonna age really well too. One thing I would have changed that would have made this movie age even better is shooting this movie on film and not on a digital camera. That would have helped the tone, that would have made things feel a little bit grainier. Yes, the script is overstuffed and I might have been bored plenty of times, but I can totally see myself returning to this, at least maybe every once in a Halloween season. Burton gets to be himself, and when he does get to be himself, it feels refreshing, it feels fun. I really hope he gets to do more stuff like this, and not so much just IP paycheck type of films like he's previously done before. I think if he keeps doing this, we may get another Burton classic in the future. Who knows? Will we get a trilogy? Probably. The movie did pretty well in the box office. Do I want a trilogy? I'm not really asking for it, but sure. If it gets to be like this tone-wise, practical effects-wise, then I'm down for it. I don't want to wait 30 plus years for a third one. I'm gonna give this movie a 3 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you made it this far, did you like the movie? Did you hate it? Do you want to see a third one? Please let me know. But other than that, I do know what I'm gonna review next. Be on the lookout, subscribe, comment, like, do whatever you want just so you can keep updated. Make sure you exercise every day, drink your milk, and have a great day.